Alright, let's get this out of the way. Full disclosure, I didn't initially plan on making this video. I'm not a theorist, I only speculate when I feel like it. And when I don't want to talk about something, then you better believe that I still haven't made a Golden Freddy video. But I did a poll on what Help Wanted 2 video to make. And I noticed in the comments that some folks were confused about the game's endings. And hey, me too! I thought it was only me. But out of curiosity, I rewatched the endings again while I was gathering information for an animatronic video, and lo and behold, I think I might have pieced together what's going on. That is, I have found possible threads with no confirmation and a lot of back and forth. So I'm not saying that this is what the ending means, I'm saying this is what it looks like if I squint and work with what I've got. And forget about Candy Cadet, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole right now. Also, forgive me if I do go back and forth a bit. I'm going to try to make this as concise as I can, but it's a little complicated and there's going to be a lot of maybes that I've got to deal with. And, most importantly, once again, I'm not saying that this is for sure what happened in the endings. I'm just giving my interpretation. No hyperbole here. Or hyperbole. So, let's start with the obvious. What is Help Wanted 2's story? You play as some guy, I assume, who is working at the Fazbear training program down in the old pizzeria simulator restaurant, wearing a Vanny mask, which is somehow currently implemented. This game takes place in a weird middle ground between Security Breach and Ruin, so there's that. It's confirmed later, but to get it out of the way, some folks think we play as Cassie's father, and I don't know, maybe. We don't get any direct confirmation, except he might be a technician, he's at least an employee, and his big moment involves staring at Cassie. I, too, will get into that later. But I'll say probably, but I'm not expecting a confirmation anytime soon. But perhaps that note from Cassie's dad that pretty much says, "Lefty some cash, I'll be back whenever," is a hint that he was summoned down here to screw around with this Vanny system. Maybe as a tester, such as in the last Help Wanted game. This would actually make sense, but I'll get back to that. So keep that aside. So, after screwing around testing all this stuff and even removing the mask to do the files locked by Glitchtrap, which seems suspiciously like a Mexis thing, but don't get it confused, there's, as far as I'm aware, no mention of Mexis anywhere in this game. After you complete all of the levels and collect all of the Freddy Transformer toys, yes, they are a thing, we get one last one. Then, a recharge station appears on the stage before us, and a hand slips out and reveals something terrible. This hand sent me on a roller coaster. No exaggeration, this is the third time I'm recording this, all because of that. So, first I thought it was Glitchtrap's hand, and I was like, oh yeah, Glitchtrap again. Then I realized it was a human hand and got really, really salty fast. Because I thought, okay, there's three options here. 1, Afton's possessing the body of the person we play as. 2, Afton regrew a body with magical remnant. And 3, that's Gregory, and that awful, horrible, no-good Gregory is possessed and grows up to be the new "Hello, fellow kids, cool and young Afton" theory is actually coming true. And it wasn't until I was back to working on the video again that it suddenly dawned on me, human hand, oh, this is just a reference to how you get the secret ending. You have to get memory plushies handed to you by human hands. This is the would-be failure ending, maybe. So I had to record again, and that's where we are now. But I discovered something notable while going on this vision quest, and I think I might have picked up on something. But to understand it, we will have to uncover the secret ending. So let's continue on, and I'll get back to this at the end. Anyways, a bunch of nightmare staff bots appear and grab us. The screen cuts out, then cuts in on a booting screen like the one Freddy once had, and I got really excited right here. Oh my gosh, Papa Bear. But no, the scene opens up on us handing Cassie the Vanny mask at the beginning of Ruin, which means that we are Maskbot. Either our soul was placed in Maskbot, or into the system and we're now trapped there forever. So this isn't the only ending, but let's deconstruct this one before we go on to the secret one. So unlike Security Breach, we did get the confirmation that Glitchtrap was at the Pizzaplex. He's also no longer a glitch, and now he's pretty much a mascot himself. His face pops up in some minigames for no real reason, but, you know. We can maybe say from this that some of the staff bots are haunted by victims of Glitchtrap, but also the staff bots are being controlled by Glitchtrap like they were by Vanny, who was also controlled by Glitchtrap, so that's an assumption you might be able to make. Also, Cassie's model has gotten cleaned up. She's adorable. She doesn't look like a morphed Gregory anymore. She is the highlight of this ending, but golly gee, don't I wish if we were going to go for this we're actually an animatronic thing, it would have been better for an animatronic I actually gave a hoot about. I think this moment is supposed to be deep because we're supposed to maybe assume that we're playing as Cassie's hinted father, but there's only one very, very, very vague hint that we might be, but I can't get into that until after I cover the secret ending. To get the secret ending, you have to first find all of the memory plushies. These are plushies based off of the missing children. You know, the ones from like 30 plus years ago. You collect these plushies hidden throughout the game, in mini-games and levels, hinted about. Usually you have to complete complicated steps to find them, unlocking secret paths with images of Springtrap and fire and the memories of a story that was over like 4 games ago. A no offense game, but you don't have to keep telling us Springtrap killed the children. The only point I can think of is that this is doubling down that Glitchtrap is either William, or has William's memories, or is a construct made from the memories of his victims, and by the end of the game it really won't matter anymore. Because your reward for getting these plushies is to get a special glitched coin that you can use to play the Princess Quest game. During the game, you lead the princess around through the castle before finding yourself playing the game. The princess swipes you with her sword, and you enter the game with her, where you help her fight to the end of the level. At the end, you trade the Vanny mask for the Glitchtrap plush, travel in the sister location elevator for some reason, and appear in a giant claw machine surrounded by plushies. Vanny is leering in from outside when all of a sudden Moon, who is a replacement for the claw, drops in. You give him the plush, and he swims back over, gives it to Vanny, and Vanny takes it. It turns into Glitchtrap in her hands, and he waves at you. But then she smushes him into black dust, and leaves, our character trapped inside the claw machine. Though if it's between this and the haunted ball pit, we could have done worse. I like big plushies. Alright, time to untangle what we just watched. So, between both endings, we can confirm that Help Wanted 2 takes place between Security Breach and Ruin, and from the Princess Quest references to Glitchtrap turning into some black powder that we see smeared in his likeness on the wall of the office, to an emphasis on getting a sword ourselves and then finding that sword lodged in the machine in Ruin, this is what happened to Glitchtrap. He wasn't destroyed when Gregory freed Vanessa, but Vanessa assumedly came back and snuffed him out with the help of some unfortunate technician. Old Man Consequences looking King Princess Quest character says, "You are one, and you remain. What else is hidden?" I assume this is alluding to how Vanessa was one and saved and freed from the machine in the Saved Vanny ending. Yet she remains to find something else. What is that? Well, the Glitchtrap plush, or Glitchtrap still hiding in the code. Vanessa has come back to destroy Glitchtrap, but she is still Vanny. So what I get from this, and I say this knowing that anything can mean anything or change on a whim, is that what just happened is that Glitchtrap was killed and Vanny has become a main villain once again, but is no longer controlled by Glitchtrap. This makes sense. A lot of us, myself included, have said we wish Vanny was an actual threat without Afton's stench haunting and possessing her. And it looks like this ending is the correction where he is taken out of the picture and we now have Vanny alone, with only perhaps one accomplice, who is working under her. In theory, this should be a good thing. Well, if that's what's happening here. I guess I'm glad we're cutting Glitchtrap loose again, but again, if he was cut loose and wasn't just fake killed for another reveal later on, FNAF doesn't like moving on. That's why a good chunk of the game is talking about the missing children incident. If not just to drum up attention considering the movie just came out, you know. So remember I said we may be a tester. Well, yeah, Vanessa might have summoned us here to help with this, and our character was testing the brand new security system, but this was a ruse to use him, sacrifice him instead of herself, and crush Glitchtrap. Maybe her even killing him, if we're to take the Princess Quest minigame where the princess comes up and kills him from behind with a knife while he's staring at the machine, literally. Which, maybe. So why would Vanessa do this? Well, maybe she's been left scarred after Glitchtrap's possession. Maybe she's just evil. Maybe she's willing to sacrifice for the greater good, sort of like Gregory did at the end of Ruin. But why would this tester help her? There is one thing that might explain this, but it's so much of a stretch that you'll need the Nightmarian's noodly licorice arms to reach it. So, back in Security Breach, there were these notes from this technician who was trying to figure out Princess Quest and slowly becoming more obsessed with saving the princess. This last note, where he totally goes off the rails, is hidden in the daycare attendant's hidden room, and if Sun himself didn't write it, it's probably this same worker. Notably, this is the only room in the game, I believe, where we can find a set-out pair of glasses in plain sight. Guess who else wears glasses? Well, MapBot and MaskBot, who are the same bot, who we become. Is it possible that we play as the technician who was looking to save the princess, was possibly fired, but then was invited back by Vanessa to use as bait since she knew he would help, and because he had been terminated recently, that Fazbear Entertainment wouldn't care or be paying attention to where he went? All of this comes from tiny insignificant details that probably don't mean anything and don't matter, so when I say take it with a grain of salt, I mean a pillar of salt. By the way, speaking of the daycare attendant, let's talk about the not really but sort of confirmation that Moon is a servant of Glitchtrap and or Vanny. I think that Moon being Vanny's claw in the Crane game is blatant enough. This alone kind of outright says, yeah, Moon is Vanny's puppet. That explains why he has Glitchtrap's beckoning animation in Security Breach. That explains why Ruin says the daycare used to be a nice place to nap and now isn't. It explains the red on red thing. Yeah, that's likely it. And it goes deeper. So in Security Breach, the hardest minigame to get is the Balloon World minigame, hidden in the daycare attendant's locked room, alongside that message I mentioned earlier about Princess Quest. You can't get there unless you've shattered Monty at least, and have to go all over the Pizzaplex to take specific pictures to get in. If you glitch out the minigame, we see a blazing red, nearly eclipsed sun with Moon's face and eyes peeking through. Notably, this design seems to have been reused in the creation of the Jacko Moon, who not only has his color scheme but has his points out even though he's called Moon. These forms are further connected by one notable thing. In the minigame, Balloon Boy has to follow a glitched purple path leading to the moon. I said at the time that I thought this was hinting that there was a connection with Glitchtrap, down to the purple good night. This is all but doubled down on when we encounter Jacko Moon in Help Wanted 2, and there's glitched purple all over the place. And this is very specific purple. We're seeing it on Glitchtrap's icons. Yeah, if this isn't some sort of confirmation, then guess what? We're not getting one. And chances are that we're not going to get one. But I digress. So Vanny is controlling Moon, maybe with a virus, maybe with just a controller. Just like how Glitchtrap controlled Vanessa to an extent. Moon is Vanny's puppet. That would actually explain why he's in so many minigames. I'm not saying this setup wasn't because the daycare attendant is so popular, but that looks like where we're going with it. At least until Ruin, where the Eclipse safe mode is activated, thus cutting Vanny out of the equation. You know, I wouldn't be terribly against an evil duo comprised of Vanessa, the angry night guard, and Sun, the strung-out child wrangler. I'm a big Team Rocket fan, and I get that energy from these two. But that aside, so what actually happened with the whole ending, not just the moon? What happened? A character that we don't know about becomes a character who we don't care about. Glitchtrap might be dead again, but we're not sure. Vanny might be evil and the villain again, but we don't know. We don't even know who she is, except that she's probably Vanessa, and as of right now we have like 5 or 6 villains, and all of our protagonists are either dead or might be dead. And the puppet is still MIA. And I'm not just throwing that out there because I'm a huge, salty puppet fan. The puppet is hinted all up and down this game, and they're a no-show. And I'm sad. And I think someone at Steelwool is toying with me. But, so, if what's happening in these endings is what I think is happening, Vanny, the most underutilized villain, is being brought back for a second swing without Afton's ghost looming over her. The creeping moon is getting a bigger role, and we're moving on with the story a little. This should be a good thing. This is the direction I wanted, right? This should work. I guess it all comes down to the execution. So, why is this all so confusing? Well, first off, FNAF has become untrustworthy with its storytelling. Sometimes we can have little hints build to a reveal, but sometimes we can just have little hints that don't mean anything at all. And because of that, it's harder to actually spot what might be significant details because there's always that reminder that this might just be another dead end or loose end. Also, when I first saw the endings, admittedly, I didn't pay much attention because I saw Glitchtrap and Vanny and I was like, oh my god, are we fooling with these rabbits again? I wasn't that mad about it, but I thought they were replaced by the metal furry. What are they doing here again? And it wasn't until I rewatched that I noticed Vanny smushed Glitchtrap and didn't just absorb him. I couldn't have been the only one who sort of tuned out, right? But the most important thing I now believe involves something someone brought up in the comments. So, Help Wanted story was basically delivered through tapes. These tapes might have been part of the plot, yes, but they also provided vital information. Help Wanted 2 would have benefited from the same amount of direct storytelling. Look, I know FNAF tries to play up the whole mystery aspect, but you can't have a mystery with no details. At least knowing who we are without having to dislocate your arms stretching would have at least made the neutral ending have an impactful final moment. Or maybe we could have just gotten a little something more. A single note saying we're testing a new security program. Something, you know. Now, for the record, I don't actually hate Help Wanted 2's endings. You probably heard the amount of salt and sarcasm I was dishing out and think that I do, but I don't. I kind of felt indifferent to them until I made the Vanny connection. Now I'm a little curious. Slightly intrigued. Not like going to sleep generally peeved like I did with Ruin. And this is all punctuated by the fact that everything I'm saying about this ending might suddenly be disproven because some book comes out and reveals like Moon is the Mimic and Vanny is actually Vanessa's twin sister, Samantha. But you know, that's what I think it means. At the end of the day, you gotta believe what you want to believe, unless there's irrefutable evidence towards the contrary. And in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's, who knows what can happen? So with all of that out of the way, it's time for me to return to my suspicion I had earlier. Though I have to be honest, what I'm about to do is give FNAF's storytelling a lot of credit. By which I mean, considering what we've had so far, I don't think it would go there, but let me explain to you what I see. So, throughout the video, you might have noticed that once or twice I made joking pot shots to the fact that we're still talking about the missing children incident from ages ago, and Springtrap, and the fire, all these callbacks that currently don't matter. What do Vanny, Cassie, any of these new characters have to do with those missing children? Very little, so why do we keep dwelling on them? Pizzeria Simulator was supposed to be the end. Gather them all in one place and set them free by burning them. There's a much more direct connection to this too. The Transformer Faz toys. They seem like a joke, but taking 6 animatronics and turning them into one is likely a callback to Pizzeria Simulator's Candy Cadet stories, where they often speak of taking 5 and turning them into 1. 6 now because the puppets included with the missing children. But while Henry brought them together, he didn't fuse them into one. But there was a place where the animatronics were forcibly fused into one amalgam, and that was the 4th closet. In the graphic novel, it comes out looking like this goofy thing, but as described in the novel, it looks like this. I'm sure he looks familiar. The blob, the tangle, the mass that is never explained but resembles something described to be the missing children trapped together. In the 4th closet, the children are confused inside of this body, and Carlton has to help piece their memories together before they can properly move on. There is fire involved, but the focal point really is Carlton helping them see the truth and receive closure. Pizzeria Simulator was just the fire to help set them free. And now we see the images of the fire along images of their traumatic deaths, such as in the Phaser Blaster level where you're required to get the Freddy memory plush. We see the entire location be burned to a crisp, and then we see Springtrap popping up amongst the ashes. This could be a reference to Fazbear Frights, but I think it's more than that. The fire shouldn't be a trauma if it set them free. We shouldn't be reliving this trauma if it set them free. They should be gone. Because it didn't. The fire brought them together, but there was no closure. It had infected them, the memories of the fire, but they are still here, as said in Ultimate Custom Night. I don't think this is a one angry child situation. I think that Pizzeria Simulator skipped a step, and instead of letting them go, they were left to fester in this form. And the many arms handing out these memory plushies are just proof of it. They're still here, but now they are just indistinguishable arms from the mass that is the scars of this event. The fact that we got a brief look at the toy and that it is all the toys combined before seeing the arm could be hinting to this. As I said in my Pizzeria Simulator video, Pizzeria Simulator and the Fourth Closet were made at the same time, so while I can't say that this is all on purpose, I can say it's notable that one features a character helping the kids move on, and the other involves a raging inferno that is still popping up in the games. Maybe all this callback to the first games isn't just inept storytelling unable to move on from a plotline that ended years ago. Maybe there's something more here. Maybe people's theories about the blob being made of the missing children is true, now languishing in the basement of Freddy's because anybody who could have helped them is long gone. Maybe there's a reason for this. But if this is the case, if FNAF is really looking to tackle trauma and remorse, which I kind of don't think it can, then I don't know how they plan to do that in a series where they're so scared to give out even the smallest of details. Sometimes you just have to let them stare into the fire and see what's burning. But that's it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I probably just confused everyone a lot more than they were before they watched this video.